Jacob, not sure if we should celebrate this, but Zelensky won Times Magazine Man of the Year. Let's not get too excited about that, right? Because many other men and women have won this that we don't really want to talk about, like Hitler, like Stalin, like Greta Thunberg, like the Prime Minister of Germany, Merkel, Charles Lindbergh. Infamous people have won Time Magazine Man of the Year, but he also won Sexiest Man of the Year, and that's an interesting thing to do that in the middle of a war which has really risen up to a new crescendo. Donetsk has been attacked by Ukrainian drones and missiles into the Donetsk Republic, which has been annexed by Russia. Putin is threatening nuclear war again. So in the middle of this, he wins Sexiest Man of the Year, Time Magazine Man of the Year. The war is rising. What a time. What are we looking at here?
Well, first of all, we're looking at a dying magazine. Newsweek is just gone. And the circulation of Time has decreased so much, it really doesn't matter anymore as a publication. It's of no significance anymore in the global market. It is not a media shaper or a popular culture shaper anymore. It just doesn't have enough circulation. Not enough people care about it or read about it. It features on the internet or just technically superior to anything a magazine like Time could produce anyway. Not only that, but no sooner does the news of the week come out in Time that the news is changed by the time the magazine comes out. Only internet can keep up with that. A magazine can't. So Time Magazine is irrelevant. And therefore anything it publishes is largely irrelevant now. I wouldn't make too much out of it. But as you rightly point out, some of the most notorious villains in modern history have been on the cover of Time as the Man of the Year. Not only positive people, but many negative people. So my attitude towards Time is, who cares? I ignore it, and I think most people ignore it. It doesn't really matter anymore.
What about the war, though? I mean, it's just like an odd timing again. In the middle of a war, Donetsk gets hit. Putin raises up the ante now because they're saying, well, they're using NATO proxy forces to attack now an independent republic, because it's called the Republic of Donetsk. And Moscow keeps ordering more drones to counteract some of the attacks. So it just seems like the war is unending. There's no, he says, no more negotiations. There's no off ramp. Are we looking at it?
Right from the beginning, it's been a proxy war. The Ukrainians and the Russians, just looking at the two supposed combatant nations, neither one of them have done well. They have both been battered substantially. Neither one have done well out of this war. Finland has joined NATO. NATO has moved further to the east than Putin ever wanted. As a result, his economy, although not undermined, it has in certain sectors been damaged. 750,000 middle-class professional people, young men leaving the country. He's not doing well. And it's also a humiliating prospect for Russia. So he's not done well. But the Ukrainians have not done well either. They've lost perhaps 100,000 people or more. Nobody actually knows. What Putin has done has retrenched his troops to the Dnieper River and is basically dismantling the infrastructure, the utilities, the power grid of the country. That's what he's doing. Muriel has a rescue mission, or I shouldn't call it that, a refugee assistance mission to the Ukrainians that we run out of Poland. And we've just, from Britain, sent over another 250 stoves that are heaters. They burn wood. And you can cook on them. We just sent over another 250 because the people are shivering. They don't have heat. They don't have public utilities. They have electricity maybe 2 hours a day. They're suffering terribly. The Ukraine is not winning the war. The Ukraine is being beaten to a pulp. Russia got itself into something it would have been better that it had not gotten itself into. So neither side is doing well. Not only that, when the ground gets cold and these conscriptees into the Russian army are integrated into the mainstream Russian forces, you
Right.
you can very well expect a full-scale Russian invasion that can
Yeah.
only be stopped by NATO troops entering into Ukraine. But there is no mandate for entering Ukraine. It will be like the war crimes of Clinton, Javier Solano,
Yeah. Yeah.
Tony Blair, and Antonio particularly, and Wesley Clark when they
Yeah.
bombed the Serbs.
Yeah.
NATO can only attack a country that attacked a NATO country. Well, you had these illegal acts by Clinton and Blair already, and by Solano and by Wesley Clark already. Well, the precedent was set then. Now
Yep.
it'll be another illegal act to have NATO troops fighting in Ukraine. But they're already NATO surrogates. Western intelligence agencies and NATO are using mercenaries. The Ukrainians are not scoring all those hits and kills on the Russian hardware and ordnance. It's being done by people who are trained by the American CIA, by British MI6, by British military intelligence, and so forth. They're using mercenaries. They're using all kinds of mercenaries. By some reports, NATO is even using Islamic mercenaries. It is not the Ukrainians gaining that victory. It is a proxy war by NATO. The only way out is something negotiated. Now, Putin is the villain. He's a bad man. Zelensky is not a good man. It's just that he's the lesser of two evils. Putin is a bad man, okay? But he's got himself into something. You need to offer him a way out. Now, I'm not suggesting you give him up Donetsk and these other regions, but you can give some kind of terms, at least for a ceasefire.
Yeah.
At least get a ceasefire. Look, Putin is not winning, but either is the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And in the long term, Ukraine is paying a higher price than Putin. Not only that, up until now, up until the 5th of December, Putin's economy has not been hurt all that badly as the Western media has reported. It's been hurt, but not nearly all that badly. He's been selling, howbeit at a discounted price, the oil to India and to Russia, and to China, rather. And also, he continued selling to Europe, and he will still sell to Hungary and I think Austria. His economy is not undermined to the degree the Western media and the American government is trying to make out. Damaged, yes. Hurt, yes. But undermined, no, it has not been. It has not been. People in Russia are paying something of a price, but nothing like the price the people in the Ukraine are paying. Nothing. Nothing. We are not being told the truth by the mainstream media or by the American or British government. And yes, it is a proxy war by NATO. The Ukrainians are not scoring those hits. It is NATO mercenaries.